On October 19th, 2025, on a bright Sunday afternoon, the impossible happened. The Louvre Museum, one of the most secure and heavily guarded buildings in the world, was robbed. The French crown jewels were stolen. Their value, $108 million. But this heist didn't become famous just because of the scale of the theft. No, it became a viral phenomenon because of one mysterious photograph. A man in a fedora hat. A detective who looked like he'd walked straight out of a 1940s noir film. Or maybe not a detective at all. And now, breaking news. Just yesterday, 2 suspects were arrested. One of them was trying to flee the country. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and mysterious crimes of the year. From the 7-minute heist to the viral photo to the arrests that just happened. This is the complete story of the Louvre robbery. Before we get into what happened, you need to understand what the Louvre Museum really is. This isn't just a tourist attraction. This isn't just the place where the Mona Lisa hangs. The Louvre is one of the largest and oldest museums in the world. It houses more than 580,000 works of art. Nearly 10 million people visit it every year. Security here is no joke. The Louvre has hundreds of security cameras, motion sensors, bulletproof glass, specially trained security teams, alarm systems connected directly to the Paris police, and among all these treasures, the French crown jewels, displayed in the Apollo Gallery on the 2nd floor. These jewels aren't ordinary. They are history, symbols of the French monarchy. Some of them were worn by Louis XIV, Napoleon, Marie Antoinette. They survived revolutions, wars, the fall of dynasties. Their value, officially, $108 million. But their true worth? Priceless. They are cultural heritage, objects that can never be replaced, and these jewels were the target. Yes, the Louvre has been robbed before. In 1911, the Mona Lisa was stolen. It was recovered 2 years later. But this heist, this is a completely different level. This isn't one person taking a painting off a wall. This is a meticulously planned military-style operation, professional work. And now that you understand the context, it's time to tell you exactly how they did it. October 19th, Sunday. In Paris, it was a beautiful autumn day. Sunny, warm. The perfect day for a walk along the Seine River and a visit to the museum. The Louvre's doors opened at 9 a.m. as usual. Tourists began flooding through the glass pyramid, the museum's iconic entrance. Families with children, couples, art lovers, all blissfully unaware that in a few hours, they would witness one of the boldest museum heists in European history. Around noon, 4 men arrived at the Louvre. They weren't dressed as tourists. They wore balaclavas, masks covering their faces, and they came prepared. They drove a truck to the side of the museum that faces the Seine River. But this wasn't just any truck, it was what the French call a monte-meuble, a furniture elevator, the kind moving companies used to lift sofas and beds into high-rise apartments through windows. The thieves extended the basket lift to the 2nd floor, to the balcony outside the Apollo Gallery, the gallery where the crown jewels were kept. And then they went to work, using an angle grinder, a power tool that cuts through metal and glass. They sliced through the window. The sound must have been deafening, but they didn't care. Speed was everything. Once inside, they knew exactly where to go. The display cases, 2 specific cases containing the most valuable pieces. They smashed through the reinforced glass with more power tools, and they grabbed the jewels. A tiara with 212 pearls and almost 2,000 diamonds. Another tiara with 24 Ceylon sapphires and over 1,000 diamonds. An emerald necklace that once belonged to Napoleon's 2nd wife. Earrings, brooches, a bodice bow, 9 items in total. The entire operation, from arrival to escape, took 7 minutes. 7 minutes to pull off one of the biggest museum heists in history. They descended the lift, jumped on motorcycles and scooters that were waiting below, and roared away through Paris streets. Inside the museum, alarms finally started screaming. Security personnel rushed to the Apollo Gallery. Police were called. Within minutes, the Louvre courtyard was filled with police cars, blue and red lights reflecting off the yellow stone walls. Helicopters circled overhead. Armed officers swept through the museum. Tourists were evacuated, confused and frightened. But the thieves were gone. Almost. Because in their haste to escape, the thieves made one critical mistake. They dropped something. Outside the museum, near where they had parked their vehicles, investigators found the crown of Empress Eugénie, an ornate gold piece encrusted with 1,354 diamonds and 56 emeralds, worth tens of millions of euros alone. But it was damaged. The hasty escape, the drop to the pavement, the crown that had survived over a century and a half was now broken. It was the first clue, the first piece of evidence, and a sign that maybe, just maybe, these thieves weren't as untouchable as they seemed. But what happened next would capture the internet's imagination in a way nobody expected. A few hours after the heist, when the Louvre was surrounded by police and media, an Associated Press photographer named Thibaut Camus was doing his job, photographing the scene. Police cars, uniformed officers, barriers at the museum gates. And suddenly, through his lens, a man walked by. Not just any man, a man dressed as if he had just stepped out of a time machine or out of a Humphrey Bogart movie. Dark coat, light jacket, a tie, and a fedora hat. Camus instinctively pressed the shutter. Click, photo taken. At the time, he didn't think it was anything special, just a good shot. He uploaded it to the Associated Press system with a simple description and forgot about it. But the internet didn't forget. Within hours, that photograph started spreading like wildfire. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit. And people had one question: who is that man? The first viral post claimed actual shot, not AI, of a French detective working the case of the French crown jewel stolen from the Louvre. 5.6 million views. Another post: the man who looks like he came out of a 1940s detective film noir is an actual French police detective investigating the theft. Millions of engagement. The internet lost its mind. Theories exploded. Some claimed he really is an elite French investigator. Others thought he might be the thief himself, returning to the crime scene. Time traveler theories, ghost theories, art collector theories, memes appeared everywhere. The man photoshopped next to Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot, Inspector Clouseau, TikTok videos with noir music zooming into his face, analyzing every detail. Within a week, the photo received more than 10 million views. It was discussed on news programs, analyzed on true crime podcasts. It became an internet legend, but what's the truth? Photographer Camus gave an interview. His answer: he just walked by. The museum was being evacuated. I saw him, took the photo. He passed by and left. Just an elegantly dressed person in the right place at the right time. Or the wrong place, depending on your perspective. When journalists asked the Paris prosecutor's office if he was a detective, they replied, "We'd rather keep the mystery alive," with a wink emoji, and the mystery remains. But let's return to the real investigation. The Paris police assigned more than 100 investigators to this case. 100, one of the largest teams in modern French history. Their first conclusion? This was professional work. Think about it. The Louvre has hundreds of cameras, motion sensors, security personnel, doors that lock automatically. And yet 4 men got in, grabbed the jewels, and got out in 7 minutes. Most experts agree. There had to be an inside job. Someone who works at the museum or has access to its systems helped. Maybe a security worker who knew when cameras weren't monitored. Maybe a manager who knew the exact locations. Maybe someone from maintenance who left a door unlocked. One former professional thief told the media they definitely had an inside person. Maybe a girlfriend who's a tour guide. Maybe someone who sold information for money. You don't pull this off without inside help. And there's precedent: the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist in Boston, 1990. Thieves dressed as police officers stole 13 artworks worth $500 million. Still unsolved. The Antwerp Diamond Heist, 2003. Years of planning, over 100 million stolen. These aren't spontaneous crimes. They're chess games, every move calculated. But here's where time becomes critical. Arthur Brand, one of the world's leading art detectives, issued a stark warning. The police have a week. These crown jewels are so famous, you just cannot sell them. Before you know it, they'll be melted down, the stones broken up, and they'll vanish forever. A week, 7 days before priceless pieces of French history are destroyed for raw materials. Because that's what happens to stolen jewels this famous. They can't be sold as complete pieces. They're too recognizable. So thieves melt down the gold and silver. They remove diamonds, sapphires, emeralds, and recut them, making them impossible to identify. History erased for profit. And this wasn't even the first museum hit in Paris recently. Just last month, September 2025, thieves broke into the National Museum of Natural History and stole $700,000 worth of raw gold samples. French museums are under attack. And in June, Louvre staff had actually gone on strike, warning about security failures, about crumbling infrastructure, about the museum's inability to protect its treasures under mass tourism. Their warnings went unheeded. And now, France was facing what some called a national humiliation. The crown jewels, symbols of French history and pride, stolen in broad daylight. But then, something happened. October 26th, 7 days after the heist. In a dramatic development, French police arrested 2 suspects in connection with the Louvre heist. The arrests happened near Charles de Gaulle Airport, Paris's main international hub. And the timing? Critical, because one of the suspects was about to board a flight to Algeria. According to Le Parisien newspaper, which first broke the story, both men are in their 30s and originally from Seine-Saint-Denis, a suburb northeast of Paris. And crucially, both were already known to French police. This wasn't their first time in the system. Paris prosecutor Laure Becquerel confirmed the arrests but was careful not to reveal too much. In her statement, she expressed frustration that details had been leaked to the press, saying, "This revelation can only hinder the investigative efforts of the 100 mobilized investigators, both in the search for the stolen jewelry and for all the perpetrators." All the perpetrators, meaning there are more people involved. The investigation isn't over, because here's what we still don't know. Where are the jewels? Were these 2 men part of the actual heist team, the 4 masked men who climbed the furniture lift? Or are they middlemen? Fences trying to move the stolen goods? And most importantly, has the jewelry already been destroyed? Remember Arthur Brand's warning, 7 days. We're at 7 days now. If the jewels were going to be melted down and broken up, it could have already happened. But there's also hope. Prosecutor Becquerel mentioned earlier in the investigation that if the heist was commissioned by a private collector, there's a chance of recovery. Collectors want intact pieces. They want the history, the provenance, not just raw materials. So which is it? A collector's commission or a smash and melt job? The arrests suggest progress. The timing, catching one suspect at the airport, suggests urgency. They were trying to leave, trying to escape before the net closed in. But French authorities aren't celebrating yet. They can't. Not until those jewels are found. Not until every person involved is identified and arrested. Not until France's stolen history is returned. The investigation continues. 100 investigators working around the clock, reviewing footage, following leads, building the case, and the world is watching. So this is where we are. 7 days after one of the boldest museum heists in history. 7 days after a viral photograph turned an elegantly dressed stranger into an internet legend. And just 1 day after 2 arrests that may or may not bring this case to a close. 2 men are in custody, but 8 priceless jewels are still missing. And time is running out. Will the investigators find the crown jewels before they're destroyed forever? Are there more arrests coming? And who was that man in the fedora? Really just an innocent bystander or something more? The mystery isn't solved. It's just entered a new chapter. What do you think will happen next? Will they find the jewels in time? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breaking update, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because at Daily Junkie, we bring you the most fascinating, mysterious, and breaking stories from around the world. Until next time, I'm Daily Junkie, and remember, in stories like this, truth really is stranger than fiction.